People always ask me why I never sold my good old Scarlet-W and why I was so obsessed with shooting on RED. But I think you understand it now, or you're about to understand it. In this video, I'm going to talk about why I still love this camera, from the Dragon sensor, the color science, it's built like a tank, and I'm also going to talk about how RED fell from grace and how I think that they're finally fighting back with the new Nikon Zr. Alright, this is kind of heavy to hold. I'm just going to set it down right there. As I grew up with this camera, I learned the real secret behind RED and their ecosystem and what makes them actually stand the test of time. But I'll explain that in a bit. When I started my career back home in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, seeing a RED camera was like seeing a unicorn out in the wild. They just were not there. And I always wanted one. I had to find a way to get one. When RED released the less expensive cameras like the RED Raven and the RED Scarlet-W, I knew it was my time to finally get into the RED ecosystem. I was just starting my production company, and I knew that I wanted to make this investment, whether it rented out or I just made my own films with it. Going into this, I thought it would be my starter camera, and eventually I would upgrade to something else through the RED upgrade path. But I never really seen the need to. A couple reasons why I still love this camera is, like most people, any RED users pretty much, if you ask, this RED Dragon sensor is hands down one of the best sensors that RED has ever made. The build quality on this is a tank. Like I don't know if you can see, well, I got to cover it up with this cage now, but I got a little chip that was taken out when a tripod failed on me, and it went down and picked it back up, dusted off, and it was still working. The only thing that I've ever had to really get fixed on this camera was the top monitor, because it hit my handle and it was pretty fragile, so I had to send that in. But other than that, this camera really has not been back to RED to get repaired. It's been there for a checkup, make sure it's all good, but repairs, built like a tank. And also, finally, just the workflow and the experience of using the RED ecosystem in R3D. I pop out the cards, pop it right in, and if I'm using Final Cut, it recognizes it right away with the RED workflow. I can shoot proxies to the card internally if I need to, although they are really big files still, but you can shoot 2K proxies. I can shoot ProRes on here, all different kinds of flavors. Obviously the compressed RAW, I'm usually shooting 8:1, but if I'm getting VFX heavy, I know I'll go down, or if I'm doing something that's really quick and I just, social media, whatever, I may get up to as much as 18:1, but my sweet spot has been 8:1 compression ratio. And it's just the experience of using a RED is, unmatched, honestly. The colors, the way things pop, you could pretty much make any style of video you want to with these guys, depending on what filtration you're using and lensing and all of that good stuff. In the industry where Arri and Alexa had the game just in a chokehold, RED popped up and was a disruptor. When they released their first digital film camera, the RED 1, it was 4K and it shot raw, compressed raw. And there's no other way to say this, but it did come with a premium price. So with that premium price, it left a window for other smaller cameras to sneak in. And one big competitor being Sony. Sony snuck in and people started to flock to it like crazy. It was at a good price point. They were small, and the low light capabilities of it was crazy. If anybody has ever used these cameras, you know that they are light hungry. And then along came Blackmagic, who started to do their own version of RAW. And then they started to do their own version of compressed RAW. And that pushed RED back even further. Now, in my opinion, RED was still the superior camera, but the images that you were getting out of these competitors could not be denied. At one point, RED decided they were going to try to fight back. In my opinion, they failed with the RED Komodo. It didn't quite hit the mark. Now, it did sell well, and I did see a lot of them out in the field here. They're small, they're still a RED, but it had its problems in its own, and it was still pretty expensive for the average prosumer. And a lot of people were happy with Sony. A lot of people were happy with Blackmagic. Blackmagic kept putting out cameras. They kept innovating and kept updating. So RED just kept falling down, down, and down even more. The once mighty RED had lost its prestige and esteem, and then it went through a huge lawsuit battle with Nikon. Now, I won't go into the details of that. You can go and look that up. But eventually, it turned into Nikon acquiring RED. Now, I thought that Nikon was just going to phase RED out and I was going to be sad and that would be it. But they didn't. They actually used it as an opportunity to partner and blend the two camera systems. That's tough. And now RED begins its redemption arc with Nikon, who hasn't really had any skin in the cinematic game, but overnight they've become a competitor. And this is where it gets interesting. For the first time, there's a true entry-level pathway into the RED ecosystem. You don't have to spend $25,000 like I did in the beginning. You can spend $2,200. I think that's going to be the final price. I haven't bought it yet, but I am planning on buying it. But there's a real pathway. So now your camera can grow with you. You know, I'm always a big advocate for start where you are and let your camera grow with you. Don't try to grow too fast. Go step by step. Now with the Nikon Zr, you can start at a consumer pro level camera. Then you can move on to a Komodo X or Raptor X, and so on as your career grows. You don't have to make this big giant investment like I had to do at the beginning. You now have a clear pathway to step your career up. And to me, that's exciting. This takes me back to when RED initially disrupted the scene back in when they opened up. At the top of this video, I mentioned that I found out the real secret to behind what makes REDs so good. And if you got to this point in the video, go ahead and drop a camera emoji down there in the comments for me. I really appreciate you sticking with me. And now I'm just going to tell you the secret to what makes RED so awesome and why I've always been obsessed with it is IPP2. That stands for Image Processing Pipeline 2, and it's basically a color management and processing tool. This applies to every RED camera. Understand what I'm saying? From the top of the line all the way down to our Nikon Zr that we have now and older cameras. That's the beauty of it. I can take the same color processing pipeline that is in the top of the line RED, AK, VV, whatever the case may be, and I can still use it in my 2017 model Scarlet-W, and I can make beautiful images. I can even go back to RED 1 footage and still make beautiful images. So when we talk about growing from what you currently have and just keep climbing the ranks, you know, if you stay here at this camera for a while, you still get some beautiful pictures like you would with the top of the line. And that to me is why RED is the superior camera and why I've been obsessed with it and why I'm probably going to be a RED shooter for the rest of my life. I thought about going to an Alexa or a Sony, but I think I'll rent those and I'll own REDs. You tell me, do you think RED is making a comeback? Is a Nikon Zr the Sony FX3 killer? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below and keep shooting whatever you shoot on. Have fun, but don't think you always need to buy the newest thing. And if you can find one of these on sale for the low, I would buy it. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. Peace.